Since becoming president of the UFC in 2001, Dana White has seen mixed martial arts and his organization blossom into a multi-billion-dollar industry. But it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows, with the follically challenged head honcho quick to anger. UFC light heavyweight legend Tito Ortiz and White have a long and turbulent history, with the latter managing the Huntington Beach Bad Boys' early career. After Dana became company president, their relationship turned sour, and White tore his former friend apart. Tito Ortiz is one of the dumbest creatures walking the face of the earth right now, the UFC president said. If you take all living things and put them in a barrel, Tito is the dumbest out of everything. Ortiz agreed to re-sign a year later, but only if the new deal included a 3-round boxing match with his boss. White, a former amateur boxer, agreed, but Ortiz pulled out, insisting he was not being paid enough. The two would eventually smooth things over, and Ortiz entered UFC's Hall of Fame in 2012. When light heavyweight GOAT John Jones pulled out of his title fight rematch with Daniel Cormier at UFC 200 on just 2 days' notice after a doping violation, White claimed he would never again headline an event. That proved untrue, as Jones returned a year later to beat Cormier, which was later overturned to a no contest following, yes, you guessed it, another failed drug test. The barbs continued when White accused Jones of demanding $30 million to fight rising heavyweight star Francis Ngannou in 2020, resulting in Jones firing back via social media. I was over the situation, but I'm not going to sit back and allow Dana to lie to the fans, wrote Bones in one of many tweets. I never asked for an absurd amount of money. That's After Ngannou dethroned Stipe Miocic a year later to capture the crown, White was clearly over Jones's Twitter tirades about his intended move up to heavyweight for a shot at the title.
Listen, it's one thing to go out and tweet and say you want it and I put on the weight and I did this and that. Do you want the fight? I promise you. We can call Derek Lewis or one of these other heavyweights and they want the fight. John Jones really wants the fight. John Jones knows he can get the fight. All he's got to do is call and do it.
White still classifies Jones as one of the greatest of all time, but multiple out-of-cage misdemeanors, including a hit and run on a pregnant woman, cocaine and alcohol abuse, and multiple arrests, took their toll on the UFC president. For the most part, White has supported and backed prized superstar Conor McGregor. But as the Irishman's antics continued to go from bad to worse, their ultimate love-hate relationship was endlessly on the rocks.
That's all right. Hey, Conor, don't throw those out, Conor. That's a wrap. Get him out of here.
The Notorious One was set to headline UFC 200, but after refusing to turn up to the pre-fight press conference, citing it was a distraction from his training camp, Dana pulled him from the event.
First of all, I didn't prevent Conor from fighting in UFC 200. I did not. Everybody, if you looked at the press conference, Joanna Jędrzejczyk flew in from Poland. Claudia came in from Brazil. He flew in from Brazil and then came here. I mean, people came in from all over the world. Frankie's just getting home and hasn't seen his family. We don't just say this isn't just, hey, you have to do this. I will bend and I will do things to make it, to make it work for these guys and girls. And Conor didn't do it. That's the truth, the whole truth, and that's the way it is.
Fast forward 2 years and White was left fuming after McGregor attacked a bus at the UFC 223 press conference in New York, with arch-nemesis Khabib Nurmagomedov inside. The aftermath resulted in 6 fights being canceled due to injuries. This is the most disgusting thing that has ever happened in the history of the company, White stated of the carnage, but he wouldn't stay mad at him for long. White let McGregor back for more on multiple occasions because, in the words of a wise man, that's right, money, your money's happiness is all that money's. When White promoted McGregor during the Money Tour for the Mayweather Boxing Extravaganza, both men found a common foe in Showtime Sports president Stephen Espinoza.
And while we're at it, Showtime too, you little weasel. Look at you, you little weasel. I can see it in your eyes. You're a bitch.
Years later, White would continue the same sentiments after Espinoza claimed the UFC was not allowing its athletes to criticize the company's newly implemented coronavirus testing policy.
That's not true. First of all, there's something in the contract for disparagement.
Right.
There's a disparagement clause in there that's in all of our contracts. Isn't that creepy looking little a lawyer? Isn't that creepy little goofball a lawyer? Does he not know what disparagement means? If you disparage the company. I'm not even a lawyer and I know the answer to that question. What the does he know about our contracts? Oh, you just hit me out of left field with this thing. What does that guy know about our contracts? And if you do, I thought that guy was a lawyer. Wasn't he De La Hoya's lawyer? I don't know either. Whatever.
Speaking of De La Hoya, it's no secret that Dana hates the boxing icon turned promoter. The feud between the former friends stemmed from the Golden Boy's lack of support for Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor's boxing match in 2017, a fight White promoted.
You know, boxing is boxing and MMA is MMA. They're two separate sports. And it would be a joke, it would be an embarrassment for boxing if an MMA fighter were to go into the ring.
Things went from bad to worse after De La Hoya accused White of underpaying his fighters after UFC 266, resulting in White going on possibly his greatest rant ever. It's no secret you're a liar, drug addict, and all-around scumbag, White started. It doesn't matter that you laced up gloves, and there is no doubt you accomplished big things in boxing. But out of the ring, you're an absolute loser. The UFC president then revealed fighter pay for former UFC champs Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell, who fought for De La Hoya on Golden Boy Promotions' first MMA show in 2018 for a fraction of their final UFC fights. White eloquently ended his rant with, "The only reason I'm telling you this is because he is a lying, hypocritical, two-faced sack of shit, and I hate him so much that I'd love to prove he's a lying, hypocritical, two-faced sack of shit." Love him or hate him, Dana White pulls no punches, and if you don't want your name to come out of his mouth, don't tell him his business, like Steven Espinoza.
I can't stand that creep. Look at him. The creepy little dude.
Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.